Okay, no more playing around. Hey everyone, thanks for tuning in. My name is Sierra. If you don't know me or if you've never seen my face, please be sure to subscribe. Today I'm going to be going over the first chapter of Jonah. Just going to breeze through the first 5 verses and point out some things that God showed me as I sat before him and read my Bible. Okay, so before I dive into scripture, I just want to give you guys just a tiny itty bitty backdrop about Jonah. Jonah's a man chosen by God to complete a task for him. It just seems that Jonah's will kind of gets in the way a little bit, much like ours does sometimes.
The word of the Lord came to Jonah, son of Amittai. Go to the great city of Nineveh and preach against it, because its wickedness has come up before me. But Jonah ran away from the Lord and headed for Tarshish. He went down to Joppa, where he found a ship bound for that port. After paying the fare, he went aboard and sailed for Tarshish to flee from the Lord. Then the Lord sent a great wind on the sea, and such a violent storm arose that the ship threatened to break up. All the sailors were afraid, and each cried out to his own God. And they threw the cargo into the sea to lighten the ship. But Jonah had gone below deck, where he lay down and fell into a deep sleep.
I read that and I was like,
Jonah.
I don't know nobody named Jonah, Jesus. No Jonah around these parts. Okay, guys, just as a visual to help you guys out, I'm going to upload a picture of where Nineveh is versus where Jonah was supposed to go. I seen that map and I was like,
What are you thinking?
You got to be kidding me right now.
but if Jonah could talk, I'm sure he would be looking right back at us like, I'm not the only disobedient one around here. Okay, so back to scripture. It says, now the word of the Lord came to Jonah, son of Amittai, saying, arise, go to Nineveh, that great city, and cry out against it, for their wickedness has come up before me. Okay, so a few points that I collected from that. First, we see that Jonah is chosen by God. The second thing that pops out is that God says, go cry against their wickedness. That really dealt with me. Because he doesn't say go judge them. He doesn't say go condemn them. He doesn't say rally. He doesn't say tell them what you think, tell them they're going to hell. He said go and cry against it. I think that is such a timely word from God to everybody, not just to Jonah, that we have to be willing to go and cry against that which God says is wrong. We have to cause our feelings to come in line with the will of God and just say, hey, God says it's wrong, it's wrong. Regardless of what media thinks, regardless of what culture is telling me, regardless of what my friends, my family, my feelings are telling me, if God says it's wrong, I believe it's wrong. Okay, so it says, go to that great city and crowd against it, for their wickedness has come up before me. So that showed me two things. One, it shows me God's location. It says, and their wickedness has come up before me. So God's location is up. The second thing that it showed me was that our wickedness is reporting directly to God, testifying against us. Our wickedness is testifying against us at the throne of God. It says, their wickedness has come up before me. But Jonah arose to flee to Tarshish from the presence of the Lord. He went down to Joppa and found a ship going to Tarshish. So he paid the fare and went down into it to go to Tarshish from the presence of the Lord. But the Lord sent out a great wind on the sea. It was a mighty tempest, and the ship was about to be broken up. So what I picked up on is that it says that God sent this storm. God sent the storm. God sent the storm. So if you're going through a storm, God sent the storm. It says, then the mariners were afraid, and every man cried out to his God and threw the cargo that was on the ship into the sea to lighten the load. Okay, so let's put on our imagination caps and imagine that we're one of these mariners in the middle of a sea, all heck breaking loose. It says, and every man called out to their God, which insinuates there are different religions. How do they feel the moment that they feel like their life is about to end and they call out to their God? It was a whole lot of gods getting phone calls that day, and none of them could answer to stop the storm. After all this time that you've invested, all this trust you've invested in this relationship with your God, and when you need Him the most, they don't pick up. New number, who this? And a point to ponder that I want you guys to think about is, who's your God? Who's your God? When you're going through a storm, who do you call on first? Your friends, your family, your Twitter account? Who's your God? Who's coming to save you? Yourself? Your money? Who's your God? The next thing that God showed me, it says, then the mariners were afraid, and every man cried out to his God, and threw the cargo that was in the ship into the sea to lighten the load. And God showed me, Sierra, they were willing to get rid of things. They were willing to get rid of things that they wanted to take with them on their journey in order to lighten the load. How many of you guys are willing to get rid of things that could be weighing you down? Sometimes in life, God causes us to go through things. He causes storms to hit our life to get us to get rid of people. Another thing I want to point out is that these mariners didn't do anything. Because Jonah's presence in their life, all heck broke loose. Be careful who's around you. Start taking inventory of the people and be willing to get rid of things if you're going through a storm. Okay, now the last point I'm going to make before I get some rest is that all this chaos is going on and Jonah is asleep in the lowest part. It says he went down to Joppa, he went down into the ship, and then he went down to the lowest part of the ship. He's supposed to be on his way to Nineveh, war crying for God. But it says, but Jonah had gone down to the lowest part of the ship and had laid down and was fast asleep. Our will have us so out of line with God's purpose for us. It's not even funny. He's supposed to be warring, and instead he's laying down sleep. He's literally like in the opposite position and in the wrong location. And a lot of times our will do that for us. Thank you guys for joining me. Please come back. Tell me what you think about it. I'll be back before you guys again, and I hope to see you next time. Share, like, comment, subscribe. I really need some feedback. This is my first video. It will be a big help. All I want is you. All I want is you. You're my deliverer. You're my deliverer. You're my deliverer. You're my deliverer. All I want is you. All I want is you. You're my deliverer. You're my deliverer. You're my deliverer. You're my deliverer.